Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone. Don't speak. Don't speak. Open your soul. Don't harden your heart. Don't speak. Don't speak. Open your soul. Don't harden your heart. Don't bask in a light that's not yours. We're not fighting a fictitious war.
Hey everybody, it is Friday. It is 6 o'clock and I am still waiting for Jim to join us, so I know he's busy, but I'm hoping he will jump in shortly. So I'm just going to start our Friday update. So today is Friday. It is August 1st. It is 6 o'clock. And let me go over to your questions. Hey, everybody. Hey, Susie. Good to see you. Hey, Jerry. Thank you for doing the op-ed. So if you guys saw, we had asked several of you we had posted last week, we were looking to do op-eds from each of you. We did receive a few of them, and two are waiting right now to see if they would be accepted for publication. So if you're still interested in doing that, please let us know. We did put that sign up, and let me see if I can find that link one more time. Actually, we had a good number of responses, but I haven't received, we've not received more than a couple. So I'm going to drop that link again in the chat. And if you are interested in writing an op-ed on our issue, how this affects you, let us know. Robin, why are you in the ER? Why are you in the emergency room? Are you okay? Hopefully you're okay. Yes, my sugar bear passed away. Don't make me cry. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Oh, I'm not going to say that, Robin. Oh my goodness. Met Grace Mang. She mentioned our issue for what it's worth. Yes, I'll be with Grace Mang tomorrow. Thank you. Several of us will be with Grace. So thank you very much, username, whoever you are. We will be with Grace tomorrow. Hey, Dan, it's good to see you. Hi, Nemi. I will see you tomorrow. Very good. So I did put in the chat, and I'm going to put it there again. Let me also put it in the chat in Instagram. If you guys are interested in doing an op-ed about our issue and how these last 4 years with the healthcare changes has impacted you, the high cost of copays or your high cost of your drug plan, please let us know. We are interested in you signing up to do this and sending the op-ed to our organization so that we can go through it and try to get it placed in a publication. So I just put that link in the comments. and it is on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the moment. So hope you guys can. It needs to be about 450 words, and be passionate about the issue. Let us know exactly what you are, how this has affected you. That your former unions, for those of you that were union, if you're managerial and you were never in a union, I want to hear your perspective. So yes, hey Tommy, good to see you. Yes, Bayside Railroad Station was flooded today. I was watching on the news because I was not going outside. Um, Even here, it was raining like crazy. We had so much thunder and lightning that even Jules went underneath the bed. So, hey, David, good to see you. A Queens flood survivor. What happened, Larry? I was teasing Councilman Marte's office yesterday as he figured he was going to go down with the ship and his staff went home as to not get flooded in his office. I was like, do I need to come and get you? So thank you guys for everything that you are doing. We still haven't kicked off yet our next event. After this was the first step, was trying to get you to do op-eds. After that, next week we have a meeting on Friday, and then we'll probably start rolling out some more. But stepping up pressure to your council members will be coming next. So stay tuned for that. I was hoping to have more this week, but life just seemed to get in the way. Hi, Janet. Good to see you. Hello, Karen. Did Justin Brannon answer your text from last week's Friday Night Live to come back on our Zoom and tell us what he's doing to advance our healthcare bill? I don't think so, Joe. Let me double check. Let's see. No, he didn't. But he did send me a picture of him watering his concrete. Let me see if I text him this next picture, if he will respond. Okay. I asked again, Joe. If not, I guess he's not interested anymore. All I could do is ask. Hello from Monticello. Hey, Faye, love you too. Just yes. Great Neck Station was like Niagara Falls. Hey, Barbara, good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. We've had a tough week, EMS. We've lost three of our members this week. Just yesterday, I think it was David Burke. We lost Jackie Sullivan just before, and I can't remember the third person. So this has been a rough EMS week. I mentioned your name to Meng, and she said she follows retirees on X. Yes, they do. Janice, you're doing an op-ed this weekend. Fantastic. No, Grace Meng's event was an invitation only. It's not an open to the public. So, but we'll take pictures. Don't worry. Does Kayla Santuoso support us? She has the Dem slate for Brennan's seat. I do not know. So if you are in her district, you might want to ask her, but I can ask as well. And I'll take a screenshot of that and see if he will answer that. Um, okay. JB asked us twice for votes. Loser. I hear you, Tommy. Jerry, does Senator Schumer respond to anyone regarding his position on Advantage Care versus traditional Medicare? So, Jerry, last year, Senator Schumer signed the AHIP letter, which is the industry letter. He did not sign Senator Warren's letter, which was supporting protecting Medicare. We pushed him to do it. We begged him to do it. He told us he wasn't signing on to Warren's letter, and he told us don't read into it. When we looked up his campaign finances, he is largely funded by large insurance. So there you go. I've not spoken with him personally on this issue. If you want to, feel free. But this still is a local issue. We're not going to get this fixed on a national level yet. Okay, so Justin just texted me and said, "Yeah, yes to what?" Justin, if you're on, you're welcome to come on our show. I'm going to book you for next Friday if you're free. Let's see. I'll ask him. Yes. Okay. And in the waiting room, I see Jim is on. So I'm going to pull in Jim as to not delay so that he can answer all of your questions, because I know you guys have been asking me stuff that I can't answer. So you might as well get it from him. Okay, let's go. Hey, Jim.
Hello. Hello. I'm sitting down. I've been standing for hours. So how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Everything's great.
That is wonderful.
You look well.
So do you.
Thank you for having me on. Hi, everyone.
So on the side of your screen, you should see running commentary. Do you see that?
I see something that says studio chat, but it says
look for
private
comments.
chat. Go to comment. Oh, yes. Woo, boy. Yes. Now I see it. Hi, everyone. Wow. Look, so many names that I recognize.
So here, like you'll see, I just posted one on the screen. It says, Lila says, hi, Jim.
Hi,
Here's
Lila.
Gerald. Hi, Jim. And so you may see something in the chat that I may not see. If you want to address it, tell me you want to address something and you're free to address it.
Well, I want to say hi to all the people that said hi to me. It looks like Anne, Camille, Lila, I'm thinking about you for reasons that I won't say, but you know. Gerald, Matthew, John Manning. Hey, John. Catherine Goldberg. Wow, look at all these friends. Thank you, everyone. John Harrington, Catherine Goldberg. Roberta. I just saw Roberta. I got your text messages. Thank you, Roberta. Jeanette is here. Miriam's here. Wow.
Faye.
And Faye's here. Oh, I didn't see Faye at the bottom. Hi, Faye.
Faye was going to try to make it to your event, but she wasn't feeling good.
Oh, I'm sorry, Faye.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the people that you guys had questions, you had questions last week, and I said to you I would bring Jim in. So if you're here and you have those questions.
Wait,
okay.
Can I just say one thing to a couple of people? I'm not going to call you guys out, but a number of you seem to be like repeatedly contributing to me. And we've noticed, and I'm going to call you each individually. And I'm sorry I haven't already, but it was so kind. So I just wanted to say thank you to those people. You know who you are.
Oh, that's sweet. Very good. So Janice, it was you that asked me that. You're right. So Janice had a question last week. She said, please explain your idea about giving disadvantaged kids a fund where they get $100,000 at age 22. The question that you asked, that was asked of you of Marsha Kramer. So Marsha was asking you questions, and it was frustrating because she kept interrupting you and you couldn't finish your sentences. And then on your website, when Janice asked me this question, I was unfamiliar with it. And you mentioned a gentleman who I can't remember his name. It's on your website that inspired this theory.
Yes.
And the theory was that in some time in the future, you was like a retirement type fund that you wouldn't get immediately, but you'd get it later, based on that man's theory. That you would get this chunk of investment, and an investment that was, I guess, small to start, but it compounded over the lifetime, and then it was there when they needed it. Kind of, I guess, like a retirement type fund. So I said to her, I don't know, because she interrupted him and he never got a chance to fully explain the details, because a lot of people were saying in the chat last week that their theory was, well, hopefully people who are born in poverty might be able to get themselves out. So I'm going to give you the floor to explain that question, because her question, if I remember Janice correctly, was that you wanted to know how that was funded and when they got that income.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. I'm thrilled to actually be able to answer a question. And Marianne, if you interrupt me, I'll do what I did with Marsha, which is I'll pretend that it's okay and just let you talk. Yeah, so it's called the Kids in Poverty Program, and it was inspired by a very controversial guy. He's become controversial because he's a Trump supporter, but he's actually a pretty forward-thinking guy. His name is Bill Ackman, and he called his program Birthright when he wrote about it years ago, and it was an op-ed in the New York Times. And I saw that, and this was before. There's a similar program that's now in, I think it's in the Big Beautiful Bill that President Trump championed as well. But the idea is to give kids an incentive to stay in school. And so for the 29,000 kids that are born into poverty, their attendance rates are typically quite high. Their truancy rates are quite high. Their disciplinary records are, can be longer than kids that don't grow up with that kind of stress at home. And so the idea was to use the housing, and for people that want to see it, it's part of my housing plan, because it's funded through a much more ambitious housing program than the city's ever seen before. And that's all laid out for people that have patience and interest. I wrote this myself, and it's over 100 pages long. So buckle in, get a big cup of coffee, do it early in the morning so that it doesn't put you to sleep. But hopefully it'll be interesting, because it really does break down all of the different ways that we can build in a way that we can get to 50,000 rent stabilized units and more than 150,000 of new units across the entire housing portfolio. So it will really have a dramatic effect on rents. It'll bring rents down, because when you increase supply, obviously that has downward pressure on prices. So I took 5% of what I call the value added and taxed the developers who are going to be getting free land, and they're going to be getting a streamlined regulatory approval system so that they can put shovels in the ground faster. And they're going to get some tax incentives, but not nearly the kinds of tax incentives that we have under the current plan, which really kind of bankrupts the city, not bankrupts, but puts financial stress on the city in later years, because the tax incentives tend to last 20, 30, 40 years sometimes. But that 5% can fund enough money for those 29,000 kids, so that if you put, and it depends on how successful the program is, but somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 in each kid's account, the kids don't have access to it. What you say to the families is, you've got to keep your kid in school. And if you keep your kid in school, by the time they're, at the latest 22, they can get the money as early as 18 if they're going to college. But it will give them enough money to either fund their education, put a down payment on a house, afford an advanced trade or vocational school, but something to help them integrate into the free market in a way that requires less in terms of the spend that the city would have in benefits if the person didn't have a way out of poverty. So that was the idea. It's called the Kids in Poverty Program. Again, it's in the housing plan. It's summarized on the page in my solution center on my website. If you look at affordable housing, it's part of that housing program. And I think that it will have a very significant and positive impact. Now, the problem is that I'll start the program when I'm elected, but the first kid that will get any sort of money is 18 years later. Obviously, I would love to find a way to advance that, but I'm a fiscal conservative, and so I don't want to fund things that I don't articulate how they're going to be funded. And until I get to City Hall and see what the state of the economy is at that time and what the state of the budget is at that time, it's going to be hard for me to make a promise to try to advance it, so that the program actually gets funded and starts sooner. But I'm hoping to partner with private industry on that, because I think that there are it's not a huge amount of money. And I believe that it will, if I'm elected and people know that I'm going to do it, that I might be able to partner with private industry to fund it sooner.
And so the money that you say you're taking, she says you're taking the money from housing, that's the profits from your housing plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully, Janice, that answers your question. And if not, I'm sure you'll have another question in the chat. Ellen says, I really like your housing plan because it seems doable. What can you do to have the media cover this more and have the research groups like the Regional Plan Association weigh in?
Okay. So how many people are on this call, Marianne?
Right now on, let's see, I can tell you how many are on YouTube is just under 200 people.
Okay. There's 200 voices. You all have voices. If you all have social media of any kind, what I suggest is, if you'd like the media to cover me more, flood them with messages and post online. And some of you are actually doing this, and I've really appreciated that. I think the one that comes to mind is John Manning has done this a couple of times. But if the media sees that 200 people all together in the next 48 hours all put out some sort of message and tag the key reporters in New York City, and for those of you who don't know who they are, I can kind of give you a list. Tag them and say, you need to cover Walden's housing plan because it's the best one of any of the candidates. And it is, by the way, because I actually worked with developers for some part of the 23 years that I've been a private lawyer. That's how I funded a lot of my pro bono cases, was taking paying cases from companies in all industries. So I've done everything I can possibly do to try to get more coverage. You'll see, for those of you who follow me, you've seen the results of that, because the last couple of weeks I've gotten more coverage probably in that 2 weeks than I did for the entire 6 months before the Democratic primary was over. So it seems to be working. And your voices matter. People think, well, what's one thing from me going to do? But believe me when I say, if every single person on here picked one reporter, and pick Emma Fitzsimmons from the New York Times, right? Pick Jeff Colton from Politico. Pick Carl Campanile from the New York Post, and you sent them a note. Everyone on this call, I guarantee you that I would get stories and profiles from each of those, and they would report on the fact that there was this spontaneous burst of activity from people wanting to hear more about Jim Walden.
That's fantastic.
So don't leave this call and don't do it, right? Leave this call and do it. Say, okay, when I get off of this Zoom, I'm going to send that tweet, or I'm going to send that Facebook post, and I'm going to post, and I'm going to tag these 3 reporters and say, cover Walden, cover Walden, cover Walden.
And yes, you have to tag a reporter when you make that post, and make it a public post so they see it.
Yes.
Yes. John Manning says the Regional Plan Association was once a worthwhile organization that did regional planning. It has become a lobbying and PR firm for REBNY and the general contractors.
And John's right, as John usually is. And, John, it was for that and many other reasons that I really want to be the mayor that goes out after special interests. And I don't care if there's special interests that are within the business community, within REBNY, within groups on the left, groups on the right. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is that there's unequal access to City Hall. And so for those of you who want to look at my website, you'll go to the Solution Center. Again, that's the place where all my policies are. You'll see a policy called Open New York. And that was, my plan. And it's a fairly detailed plan. Those of you who know me know that I'm a detail-oriented guy, but it's a pretty detailed plan about how I'm going to deal with special interests to make sure that they don't have unequal access to everyday New Yorkers. And I'm going to solve that problem in a couple of different ways, right? I'm going to have regular constituent hours so that, ordinary New Yorkers, just like I am, can go into City Hall and meet with me and talk to me about their concerns. And they will see me, not a bunch of, my emissaries, but me. And I'm also going to start a satellite City Hall program where I'm going to have a City Hall office in the 4 areas that have the highest crime rates. And once a month, I'm going to be in those offices, and I'm going to be there in the communities, and I'm going to flood them with attention and transparency. And when it comes to special interests, I've disavowed political action committees entirely. I've put special rules in so that if special interests want to lobby City Hall, that people on the other side of whatever the special interest wants have an equal opportunity to meet and have the same sort of discussion with the mayor as the special interest, or if it's not me, whatever commissioner or deputy commissioner they're meeting with. And that if anyone does form a special action committee for me and donates to it, that they will go on a do not call list. And if they want something from City Hall, they have to put it in writing. And there's going to be a special page on the City Hall website for those people and their requests, so that people can see that they made a request and how those requests were handled, so that people will have confidence that City Hall is not giving special interests unequal attention. And I understand that that will be unpopular with them. And I understand that that may mean that after I get elected, they don't want to elect me again. And if that's what happens, then that's fine. I would rather that than have a system where people can't trust their government. And that's kind of where we are. A lot of people feel that at the federal level, a lot of people feel it at the state level, and a lot of people feel it at the local level. And we have to start somewhere to rebuild the public's trust in our government. And that is very much the mayor that I want to be.
That's awesome. Okay. Jerry says, as Mamdani seems to be the embodiment of I guess he means anarchy, do you think that the number of less extreme, more moderate, more sensible candidates will fragment his opposition and facilitate Mamdani getting elected?
The answer to that question is yes. Yes. We have a math problem. It's very simple. Mamdani is going to get at least 500,000 votes. If we're lucky, 1.3 million people will vote in the general election. That's not the most that's ever voted, but that's the most that's ever voted in the last 15 years. And so maybe because of the interest in the race and the attention to it and the controversies surrounding Mamdani and surrounding Adams and surrounding Cuomo, to a lesser extent Sliwa, maybe there'll be more people that show up. But if he starts with 500,000, then there's only 800,000 or 1 million to split among 4 people. And the polling doesn't necessarily tell you how that split will be, but that split will essentially be the gift that Mamdani wants to walk into City Hall. So that's why, because I identified this problem weeks ago, right after the Democratic primary, I put out what I'm now calling a no spoiler pact. And the pact is a very simple idea, which is the 4 candidates that are not named Mamdani, that's Adams, Cuomo, Sliwa, and Walden, that we agree to a poll in early October. And I left the details of the poll open so that there could be collaboration among the candidates. And we would abide by the results of the poll, regardless of what the split was. As long as there was a front runner, then the 3 candidates, assuming that we get approval from the regulators, would endorse the leader or would drop out of the race entirely if the campaign finance board allowed that. And that would set up a one-on-one race. And in a one-on-one race, I'm confident that Mamdani is going to be defeated, because there's just too many people that don't want someone who is a socialist, someone who has long advocated for defunding the police, has a policy that is essentially defunding the police, is, in my estimation, anti-Semitic, and someone who who has literally used his voice to support terrorists. I don't mean people that are terrorist sympathizers. I mean actual terrorists. So I wrote an op-ed about this. I'm the one that did the opposition research, which I provided to the Post, and they published a bunch of it. That's not going to make me popular with Mamdani supporters. And, I care about that because I want them to come to my camp because my policies are better than his. But at the end of the day, people have to know what they're voting for. It's like caveat emptor, right? Let the buyer beware. Remember that old phrase?
Yeah.
If anybody thinks that him moderating his positions is real and that's just not lip service, then I've got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah, yesterday or today, there was articles that he was, in the light of the loss of life of the officer that was killed in that shooting in Park Avenue, walking back some of his commentary, which I can't even say it's commentary. He has made stated positions against the police, and so even so much still as the team that came in. That he was looking to disband that team. So the comments I saw today in the press was that he was walking back some of those statements because he recognizes now that he would be mayor. This is one of the reasons why I keep going back to what you had the retirees do, was make a commitment in writing, because you said to me the very first time when we spoke about this, put this in writing, make me sign this, hold me accountable, and make other candidates accountable. Mr. Mamdani is not doing that. He's not meeting with us. He's not speaking with us. He's not putting it in writing. All the things that you and I have discussed, other candidates have discussed, and everyone has put in writing so far except for him. There's a group of of some retired people and some active workers actually that have been attacking me, ask why I'm trying to force them. I'm not really forcing anybody. I'm asking candidates, would you sign this pledge? And they start to attack me as saying it's a McCarthyism loyalty oath. And I said, no, it is a pledge that says I am a candidate running for this office, and I pledge that when I am in office, I will do 1, 2, and 3, and I will commit to you to continue an open dialogue with you as a candidate and when I'm elected. Now, if this candidate cannot do that, any of those things, and not even communicate with me as a candidate, and he's already walking back some of his things, and he's attacking other candidates for bringing up some of his past social media posts, then what am I supposed to believe? I have nothing else to hang my hat on with him.
Listen, this is my great grievance with people that either are or want to be career politicians, which is, that they're lying during a campaign when they're moving their mouths.
Yeah.
Right. That's an exaggeration, of course, but there's a truth to it. And I've seen it as a regular New Yorker. Right. And I saw it close up with Bill de Blasio. I was his lawyer for the couple years beforehand, and I had one perspective on, like, I actually fought for a hospital staying open. And as soon as he was elected, he called me and said, I'm sorry, we have to give up the case that you started, that you got all these community groups in, because I need there to be development at this, the location of this hospital. I mean, so this is a part of our political system, and it's really unfortunate, but this is why I put things in writing, because I knew, particularly as someone that doesn't have the name recognition of an Adams or a Cuomo or now even a Mamdani, I knew that people were going to essentially put me in the bucket of, oh, he's just a politician, you can't believe what he says. I took a playbook from Bloomberg, actually. I've had my differences with Mayor Bloomberg. I sued his administration, I think, 4 times over the course of his tenure. So I'm not saying that he was perfect, but here I thought he was right. Put his policies in writing, and then he would actually give himself a scorecard when he was in office, whether or not he abided by the promises that he made and the commitments that he made. And I intend to do the same thing. So you're right to do that. We talked about this at the beginning of the process. This is why I wanted you, and you wanted as well, to accept more than just platitudes from politicians who want your vote and your members' votes. They should earn it. And it's not a big thing if they're going to say something to you in private to put it in writing and put it on a website so that everybody knows. And honestly, that's how you avoid people just assuming that they're backroom deals. Right. You put it in writing and that's the way it is. And obviously I did that well before there was ever any discussion about endorsements or anything like that, because I don't trade policy positions for endorsements. I take the position that is the right position based on my view of the policy equities and the data sometimes that support some of the policies and counsels against other policies. So I think you were right to do it, and candidates would be better serving their voters or their hopeful voters if they actually put their stuff in writing and then stuck by it.
Yes, then you'd have something to actually hold on to, because we've had two people. Oh, I'm sure more than two people. We have a lot of people that lie to us, and I can't take anybody at their word anymore.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
know.
I mean, I heard this. I've heard this during the campaign so many times. Mayor Adams made promises to unions and then backed away from those as soon as he got elected.
Yeah.
Some of those unions endorsed him again. It's like, I can't say that my family imparted that much wisdom to me, unfortunately, but my grandmother always used to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, here's another question from Janice back on that original subject. If they know they'll be getting $100,000 at 19 or 22, it will not give them incentive to go to school. Ask any teacher. They will know. Janice is a teacher, by the way.
Yeah, so Janice, it'll be tied to attendance rates, right? So it's not like an automatic amount of money. They don't get the $100,000 until they're through graduation. And so they have to graduate with, and there may be other requirements as well, like a minimum grade point average or something, but they have to have a good attendance rate. So I'm going to let the experts figure that out once I'm in City Hall, if I'm that lucky. But it is a conditional amount of money that assumes that they've actually tried to apply themselves. And that's going to be a selling point for parents, right? To go to parents to say, listen, we've created this program. You've got to keep your child on track. If your child's not on track, you got to raise your hand and let us know what your child needs in order for us to help you keep the child in school.
That was, for me, that was getting a scholarship to go to college because I knew my parents couldn't afford it. I actually pulled out the old Newsday from 1986-ish when both my twin sisters, myself, and my mother were going back to college. And so there was four of us, and the newspaper said, I'll have to send you the headline, the front page of the paper. It literally says like the four of us going to college was like $144,000 a year. It was something crazy. So for me,
I want the whole article. I want to see a picture of you in 1986.
I'll send it to you. It's me, my sisters, and my mother on the front page of the Newsday.
That's awesome.
So Robert says, how do you see your path to win this campaign? I know the reason I intend to vote for you. I'm curious as to what you are seeing in your campaign.
Yeah. So, so it's a journey, right? It's been, I can't even believe that it's been October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. I've been in this thing for almost a year already. And listen, the path is, there's a path, and then there's how to get on the path and then stay on the path. And that's what I've been planning this whole time, right? So I knew that there would come a time when the Democratic primary would suck a lot of oxygen out of the room, and it would be hard for me to get coverage, and it would make my fundraising more difficult. I knew there would be a period of time after the Democratic primary, even with a smaller race, where the bigger name candidates would also take a bunch of oxygen, and planned for a lot of discipline around getting out to people, building coalitions, getting those people that were going to be unhappy with the other candidates that had survived to the general election. And I've been doing all of that and more. And so what I really need to do at the end of the day from a math perspective is win about 20% of the Democrats, about 20% of the Republicans, and about 65% of the voting independents. And if I do that in a 5-way race, I'll win. So that in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. That's what gets me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and has me going to bed at 1 or sometimes a little bit later than that. But that's what I signed up for. And our plan so far has been working great. I mean, unfortunately, the media should be covering it because they should be covering it more, because I was the person that predicted that Mamdani was going to be a winner months before the Democratic primary, and everyone was so shocked. I'm the one that made matching funds when everyone told me at the beginning, there's no way a pure independent will ever qualify for matching. So our race has been, from my perspective, really wonderful. The wonderful part is we've put out more policies and more detailed policies than anyone. I mean, I've got more policies out than Brad Lander had when Brad Lander was still in the race, because I really care about this, and people understand that I'm not going to say that I'm a smart guy. I'm a hardworking guy that really understands nuance and data and can turn good law into good policy. And I hope that it shows. And I at least feel as though it's happening. I'm getting more media coverage. I'm going to places now and people recognize me. I was just in my car and this woman almost tried to pull me over. She was waving at me. Those things that when you're really starting to take off, you can see it and feel it. That's starting to happen, and it's exciting, but it's not taking my eye off the ball. It's a long road. We got 3 months left, but just remember, I filed on October 24th. Do you know who else filed on the day that I filed?
Who?
Zorhan Mamdani.
Really?
And he had a sleepy start to his race. He really started to take off in January, and by May he was near the top of the pack. So he went from zero to hero, and I'm not at zero. So I intend to climb this mountain and win on the other side.
Very cool. Faye has a question. She says, as an LCSW, I guess that's a licensed social worker, wondering about including kids with mental illness, this would give them a chance. That goes back to the question you had with Janice and the fund.
Yeah. So kids with mental illness, I think that some of you know that this is a really important issue to me. My sister was mentally ill for most of her adult life. She was in and out of mental institutions when the mental health system couldn't handle her anymore. She went to jail. She shouldn't have been there. And she was ultimately released. She was stable for a period of time and then died in circumstances I still don't quite understand, but while she was on the street. Mental health for kids really matters to me. We're not doing enough to support kids and to actually give them access to therapists to help deal with some of the problems. We're not diagnosing them well enough. There needs to be mental health screenings. And so I'm not sure how the question is attached to the Kids in Poverty program, if it was, but I fully intend to do what de Blasio said he was going to do, and $850 million is missing, and we don't even know where it went. But I intend to create incentives for opening. Hello. I intend to create incentives for companies to open mental health centers for kids specifically in a lot of disadvantaged neighborhoods across the city.
Very good. So then Roberta asks, and parents can't take their money away from them?
Oh, in the Kids in Poverty?
Yeah.
No, because they'll be adults by the time they get it.
Okay, great question. Let's see. Katie has a question.
That's Melissa, by the way.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Katie says, how will we support increasing the NYPD numbers? A man walked a whole block in a busy section of New York City with a long gun. After 9/11, that would never have happened. The numbers are dwindling.
It's terrible what Eric Adams has done to the NYPD. I mean, remember, he had originally canceled 2 classes of cadets and then ultimately restored them. And he hasn't done as much to undercut the NYPD as de Blasio, but the people that he's forced promotions are now the people at the center of the scandal where they were trading overtime for sexual favors. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So it's no surprise, given the stress that we put the police under after the whole Black Lives Matter movement, where a lot of NYPD cops, and by the way, just remember that 49% of them are Black or brown, where they were basically blamed for things that they had nothing to do with. And we didn't have the kinds of, deaths that we saw in other parts of the country, but they were still blamed, including, by the way, by Zoran Mamdani, in very, very crass, blunt, visceral words, like calling them wicked and corrupt, and pledging to dismantle them, not just once, but repeatedly, saying that we'd be a better society without police, that kind of thing. For those of you who follow me on social media, I've been very active here. So the truth of the matter is, this has caused a huge problem in the NYPD because it's under stress, and a lot of cops are working way too much overtime that they don't want to work. So if we took 56% of the overtime budget and hired new cops, we could hire 9,000 of them with higher salaries. So we don't need 9,000, but we need a minimum of 4 by the time the retirements this year are all processed and there are other defections, because we now have retired NYPD people in other states that are recruiting NYPD officers from New York to come to other jurisdictions where it's safer, more affordable, and they'll be respected. So we could be down 6,000. So I've got a couple of different strategies for trying to supplement the ranks almost immediately. And that's to extend the retirement age, because there are a lot of older police officers that want to and can still work. And the second part is to get rid of administrative functions and have that done by administrative people that are actually less expensive than cops anyway. And get, by just those two changes, I could probably get about 2,500 more cops on the street within the first couple of months of when I become mayor. And then I'm going to use the overtime budget to have an aggressive recruiting plan to try to get more police officers and streamline the academy if they already have law enforcement training, so that we can get them on the street more quickly.
Very good. Faye says, if you're elected, I would like to help with the mental health issues for kids.
I would love that, Faye. Thank you for the invitation.
Ellen says, DOI is a joke. Would you provide the funding for attorneys, investigators that they so desperately need?
No, I would not. I would do better than that. So listen, I'm a fan of DOI. I think that there are a lot of great investigators. They've had some good commissioners. They've had some terrible commissioners. The problem really is one of political leadership. We have a comptroller, right? That's Brad Lander right now, but that's the fiscal watchdog, right? Do we have a citywide office that's similar, that's focusing on corruption and is independent from City Hall? No.
So
what we have is a public advocate that gets $7 million budget and does nothing. And what we need to do is we need to have a charter revision to change the public advocate with whatever you want to call it, the corruption czar. And that person should be appointed, not elected, and should be appointed for a 10-year term so that it crosses mayoral administrations. And it should be picked by a team of anti-corruption experts, not the mayor. And if we have that kind of system, it should have prosecutors that can bring cases in a dedicated corruption court. And one of the things that people don't know is the city charter actually gives the mayor the power of the magistrate, and the mayor can delegate those powers. And I want to revise the charter to give that power, or have that power co-equal with corruptions exclusively in the corruption czar, so that the corruption czar has a charter mandated power to have a corruption court that is dedicated to public corruption cases. And that court has the power to get rid of someone from public service in the city of New York permanently. So they can impose as a punishment, if the person's convicted, a bar, BAR, a bar against public service in the city of New York, so that someone doesn't get convicted of or found guilty in an administrative process of graft in the Department of Finance, and then they end up in corrections. And that's kind of what happens now, because most of the smaller cases, DOI doesn't have the resources to do, or the DA's offices or the federal prosecutors don't want to do the smaller cases. We need all of the corrupt people out. And when we have that kind of a system, you're going to see the rats flying out of City Hall, because they know that they're going to be caught. And so that's something that I've put in writing. It's on my website. You can read the full plan. I know that John Manning has. So that hopefully that answers your question.
And I want to tell you, there is a commissioner of the aging department. And in the decades past, going back to the 60s, the commissioner of aging used to support retirees. This commissioner won't even speak to us, and it's a political appointee. So I want you to know that they are afraid, these appointed people are afraid to take a position, which this should be a no-brainer. I know I keep saying that, but it just seems to be a lack of brains in this administration. She's politically appointed, Lorraine, I think Cortez. She has a double-barreled last name. And we have tried for 3 years to speak with her. Because she's politically appointed, she doesn't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. I guess they feel that in some way, if she takes a position against the administration, she would lose her appointed position. So keep that in mind, because that's exactly what I'm dealing with her office. She should have at least been able to take a position on this Medicare issue, and retired civil servants having been fighting to protect their health benefits or benefits earned during an employment that would be stripped away from them in retirement.
Well, Marianne, it's funny that you say this, because you and I have had this conversation, and yeah, it's been a privilege to work with you and your members. But the relationship between the Organization of Public Service Retirees and DC 37 is just, like, to me, it's a head scratcher. Yeah. And I really want to, like, the idea that you could be a dues paying member of a union for years, and then you retire and the union's allowed to just throw you under the bus. That just doesn't seem right to me. No. And I'm wondering whether or not City Hall could issue an executive order saying that if you're a dues paying member, that the union has to protect you during the course of your retirement, just like you were an active employee. That seems to me to be fair. Do you know if there are unions nationally that take the position that once you're in the union, as long as you retire from a public service job, they continue to represent you, and therefore they can't pit one group of union members against another?
So retirees are no longer in unions when they retire. So they have no duty to represent us, but they had a duty to protect what we earned, because what union would want to strip away your benefits, right? This is where they failed in the leadership and the education, that they did not learn. Our leaders from decades ago knew that they had to protect us because we were no longer in the union. But on this chat right now, we have managerials, we have retired council members, we have retired attorneys that were never in a union, because they're policymakers. When you're mayor or city council, you're not in a union. So if you're non-union, these decisions that are being made by this umbrella group of unions and the mayor's office of labor relations will affect you. This situation is put in place because the mayor's office of labor relations negotiated with an umbrella organization of unions called the Municipal Labor Committee. It will affect you. It will affect city council. It will affect the law department, and they're not taking a position on this. And they're not union.
But the one thing I'd love to explore, and maybe you or other people can help advise me on this. There's no law that says that a union can't keep retirees as a union member. Is there? Is there a law that says, I'm sorry, unions can only represent active duty people?
Yes. So under the Taylor law, and Pittsburgh plate glass going back to 1971. That is a beautiful case. You can listen to the oral arguments on that case from 71. In Pittsburgh plate glass, it was right after Medicare was passed, and the employer wanted to take away the employer benefits and just keep the retirees on Medicare. And in that case, the court determined with the National Labor Relations Board that they did not represent retirees, because union members and retirees have materially different needs, and they cannot represent them. Under the law, unions can negotiate for employees in their union for wages, hours, and work conditions. Retirees don't have that. Now, there are some unions, like, for example, the United Federation of Teachers has a loyalty retiree organization. They do have those retirees pay a dues, and they do allow a certain number. It's like the United Federation Teachers has about 200,000 active members. They have about 89,000 retirees, of which, of their 89,000 retirees, only 23,000 can vote in a officer election, but no retiree can vote on a contract, because
So did you guys ever try to lobby for an amendment to the Taylor law?
We haven't, but remember, unions would be representing the needs of an active worker, not a retiree. Even if you made that change, you would then be opening when you think about a negotiation, a labor negotiation, the union president goes to the table with management and they talk about give and take, higher productivity, higher raises. I don't have anything to negotiate. I only have what I have is what they could take away. I don't have anything to give them. I don't have anything. They can't give me anything else. So all I have is to give. They could take away my health care. They could take away my Medicare B reimbursement. They can charge me more money. I don't have anything to be benefited by negotiation with management. I earned my benefits. I'm supposed to sail into the sunset with them and keep them. And the union had a duty to protect that, except these were uneducated union leaders. And remind you, of this umbrella group, there's 102 unions. The United Federation of Teachers has one massive vote of almost 900 weighted vote. DC 37 has 62 locals under their voting power, but every one of those locals has a vote. So they vote individually. And then there's all the other unions, the police unions, the fire unions, all of those local sanitation, corrections, all of those unions each have an individual vote. But it is the teachers union that has this single largest weighted vote. It's one vote for every 250 members. And the two unions in that MLC that have the heaviest vote, if they all voted, is DC 37 and the UFT, because both of those unions has 200,000 members each.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to think about this more, but that seems to me there's something. I've said this to you a million times. Something's not right in Denmark. It's this is the way I look at it. If I have an insurance policy, right, and it insured like a property that I owned that I was renting up in Poughkeepsie, right, and it turned out that unbeknownst to me, last month my house burned down. I didn't even know it. And I find out about it next month after my policy expired. Now, when my policy expired, if my house burned down after that, then I'm out of luck.
Right.
But if it burned down when I was insured, the insurance company would have to pay the claim. And I just don't understand how a union can take your dues for 20 years or 30 years. And then basically, once you're retired and you have the medical plan that you retired with, that they can consent to and not fight against changes to that over the overwhelming objection of the former members of the union, even if there's so many of them. That just doesn't seem right to me. There's got to be a way to fix that legally. But in any event, I don't want to take time away.
Us either. Yeah, they had a duty to protect us, and our past union leaders used to say, "Never touch retiree health benefits because you're opening Pandora's box." And unfortunately, They did.
Welcome to Pandora's box.
Yes. Yes. Welcome to Pandora. Robert says, can you expand on how you would change the ethics, integrity, and conflict of interests would be addressed within city government in a Walden administration?
I guess, Robert, this is probably like a 5-hour conversation, but it begins with tone from the top. I mean, it is no pay to play, no cronyism, corruption
No nepotism.
corruption being dealt with very harshly. And there's lots of different compliance systems that are in place. I have to take a close look at the ones that are working as opposed to the ones that aren't. But I intend, once I'm done being mayor, if I'm so lucky, to go back to a legal career. And I'm going to go back to a legal career with my reputation for integrity enhanced, not detracted from. And so every single day, I'm going to remember that I'm there to make sure that we can be proud of our government again. Right. Because that's who I am. That's who I've always been as a professional. And I intend to live that every day in City Hall. Do
you know when you'll be in Queens?
I just came from Queens. So I've been there a whole bunch of times. I was just at a community meeting in Corona where they're having an epic problem with drunken, vagrant homeless people. Like, I didn't even know about this. I got an invitation to go to this community board meeting or this community meeting, which is really interesting. But yeah, I've been all over the place. So we don't have a schedule yet because we've just been going wherever we can. But we're going to have a schedule in place. We'll have it on the website, and then people can see where we're going to be and when for the last 2 full months of the campaign.
Okay, good. And I know you're supposed to be putting up a schedule of that we can help attend. Our people can come to, because I think that's what Camille was looking to do.
Yeah, that's great, Camille. Thank you.
David says your ideas are visionary and your stellar talents to shine as mayor.
Oh, thank you, David. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it.
Janice says, now that we've heard what you'll do with disadvantaged kids, what are your plans to help seniors, the votes you will need?
I'm going to kick them to the curb.
No, you're not.
Come on. So, I mean, there's lots of ways that seniors need help, but one of the critical ways is better housing. So, and you'll read this in my housing plan. I hate to keep going back to this, but in my housing plan, you're going to see that there's going to be a set aside for seniors specifically. So this lottery system that we have is, I guess our attempt to be inclusive or something, but it doesn't get at the people that need it the most. And seniors are part of that group. By the way, public service employees are another group of people that I'm going to give set asides to in terms of new housing that gets built much more ambitiously. Oh, wait, I didn't even see that Kathy Napoli's on. Hi, Kathy. So that's certainly one way. But I apologize for this. I have to jump. Yeah, I only had an hour. So
that's okay. Come back whenever.
I'll come back next Friday. I'll come back every Friday. It'll be our Friday tradition.
Okay, we could talk every week. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you jumping on and answering everyone's questions.
Do you want to give, like, is there anyone that has like a more time sensitive or more anything?
Let me just jump over to the live questions because I was starring them as I could see them.
And I was only kidding. I swear to God, I would never kick you to the curb. All right. Well, don't forget. Send a social media post under any platform and just look for Emma Simmons. You can look on Google. She's like, what is Emma Simmons' Facebook handle or Twitter handle or whatever? Emma Fitzsimmons, Carl Campanile, and who is the third? And Jeff Colton from Politico.
Jeff Colton from Politico.
Yeah. Do any of those, and that will be super helpful in terms of getting more coverage from the print media.
Okay, very good. You have a great day, and thanks for joining us, Jim.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Talk to you soon, Marianne.
All right, bye. All right, so I'm going to see if I can go through and answer some more of these questions because some of these were for me. And those whose questions we didn't get to, just hold on to them and then bring them back when we come back. Okay, so Anne says, can you create a mass email campaign supporting Jim to the media, possibly giving us a list of media email addresses? So he just told you the 3 people, but I can put them in an email. I can put them in an email when I send out your email, because I didn't send an email out last week, but I am a little on the busy side this week, so you might not get that newsletter. If you get it today, you might not get it. I'll just gonna say you're gonna get it probably by Monday. So give me the weekend to get that out. And he said Emma, Jeff, and Carl. Okay. Let's see. Like Teddy Roosevelt and Fiorello LaGuardia, they're hoping that ignoring you will work. It won't. Let's clean up City Hall. Absolutely. Jerry, could you provide a list of talking points regarding Jim's platform and the email addresses of specific reporters? So I will send the emails that the people that he wanted you to tag, but you should be looking for their social media handles, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I don't know where they all are, but you can look them up, and I'll at least give you their names so that you can look up them up on the social media platform that you are on. And then just go to Jim's website, Jim for NYC, and you can look up the points that mean the most to you, the things that you want them to highlight. Can contact reporters? Yes. So Roberta, he said Emma Fitzsimmons, Jeff Colton, and Carl Campanile. Emma, I believe, is from the Times, Jeff from Politico, and Carl is from the Post. Ellen, I don't know the answer to your question, so I'm going to skip over it. Hold that until next week or when he comes back. Randy says, who's agreed to sign the pledge to narrow the field to one person to go against Mamdani? So you have against Mamdani, you have Curtis Sliwa. He signed the pledge. You have Jim. He signed the pledge. Jim actually started us doing the pledge in writing and making formal commitments. And that was because I'd expressed to him that we had been we had a verbal communication with several electeds, even in person, that they made promises to us that they would help us with this, assured us that they had our back on this, and then ghosted us. So this is why we came up with this procedure, and this was at his suggestion, and we've loved it. The board really supported this idea. So you have Curtis, you have Jim, Andrew Cuomo did the pledge, and he met with us as well. The only one that hasn't signed it, obviously, was Zohran Mamdani. And the mayor, Eric Adams, hasn't signed the pledge, but he said he wasn't going to put us into Medicare Advantage at this time. So that's really all I can tell you is those right now are the 3 people who have agreed to protecting you. And to my knowledge, I don't think Zohran will meet with us. We've been trying to get him to pay attention to this issue. I think he knows this issue, but I think the unions have been pressuring him not to support us. And remember, DC 37, we have that in writing that they told candidates that if they supported our issue or our legislation, that they would no longer support that candidate. And the candidate was told that. So the candidate was specifically told that if they supported us, they would no longer be supported by the district council. And Zohran could have been on Assembly Bill 4639, and he's not. So that bill is still there. He could sign on to it. He hasn't. So that should say something to you. Okay, so let's go back over to the live questions. You're also in favor of micro units. I thought micro units were cute. In more rural areas, they're like called granny pods or nanny pods, which I thought were cute. They're just small little units for seniors that are very much safe for them. Jazz Snare, I wish this guy wins. Is your 100-page doc easy to find? John, go to his website, Jim for NYC, and you should be able to find it there. Faye, sounds terrific if Jim comes on weekly. Marie, thank you, Jim. You have my vote. Anne, thank you. Janice, that's kind of a hard question to ask. Who will you support if you drop out? First of all, remember something. There's a rule in campaign finance that they can't drop out. They can drop out, but their name will still be on the ballot. I don't understand that rule, but it is a rule. So they've campaigned enough that their name could be on the ballot. Even if they no longer run, their name will still be there. So I think that would be an issue. And I think it's still too early to ask a candidate in August who they would support if they drop out. You're not going to get an answer from anyone at this stage of the game on that. That's just politics 101. It's too soon. Subsidized housing for municipal employees. Faye, are you going to write those reporters? Faye, I will put them in the email. I will put them in the email for you. Brains, integrity, vision, and experience. Go, Jim. Marianne, I've donated every year. I'm in a tight spot right now, but should be fine in a couple of months. Donate as soon as that happens. Don't worry. Trust me, we just keep doing our promotion because we have to sustain the organization. You donate when you can. I'm not going to pressure you. You'll get the email still asking for money. Just delete it. Don't worry. You do what you can do. There will be other people. We have more people donating to us this last week, and we have some new donors. And we also, when we started the Political Action Fund, we do have some small donors because people were typically spending like $5 or $10 a month when they were giving monies to Peoples, to UFT, COPE, DC 37, their former unions. So you'll notice too, let me see if I could find that page. We did open up the Political Action fundraiser page to not be just UFT and DC 37. Let me share that with you so you can see what we did. Okay. So if you go to this page, and I'm going to drop this in the chat right now so that you can see this page. And I'm also going to drop it in Instagram because for whatever reason, the comments don't come over to the general chat. You'll see it says New York City Retirees Strong. That's the name that you guys all chose when we put up a poll over the weekend in our Facebook page. So this is our new Political Action Fund, and it tells you how to change, if you were UFT, how to get out of paying the COPE to your former union. If you were DC 37, that's down here, how to get out of theirs. And if you were donating to another union, you just need to contact them because there's too many that may do this, that we would not have the ability to tell you how to do all of them. But the point is this is now our new Political Action Fund. So you could make this like a small $5 a month just for political action. And then the regular donations to sustain the organization would stay separate. And that's another donation. So you're welcome to do this. That's why we put the small numbers. Do what you can. There's a lot of people that have started to do this with us because they wanted they recognized after the videos that we did showing you that DC 37, the United Federation of Teachers, AFSCME, and the AFL-CIO, New York State, have been lobbying against our legislation. So this would help us do that. We have a full-time lobbyist that is helping us try to get another Senate sponsor and get that bill back ready up to be ready for January. And then, of course, still working on city council. So these would all be things that this political action would help us do. Kathy, please don't drop out, Jim. We need you. I hear you. It's too early to say what would you do. I mean, their race just literally started last month. Independent races literally started right after the primary. So you're asking someone to drop out a month into their campaign. That's not classy. Kathy, Taylor law is not on side of the worker, mainly wanted it on management because it stops us from strike. Yes, it stops you from striking, which was one of the reasons why they were trying to come up with a law to pass, because during the 60s, strikes were very prevalent and it was interfering with the city being able to do business. But I just don't see an ability of you being able to be in a union. The union cannot represent you. You have nothing to gain. You only have something to lose. And still, that's never been more clear, where you had a former union, for those that were union, have your former union try to steal your health care to finance an active workers contract that you didn't benefit from. So I can't keep saying that. There's nothing a union can do for you. You can't negotiate anymore. And that's the power of a union, to collectively bargain for benefits and wages, hours, and work conditions for workers who are employed by an employer. You don't have any of those. They had to honor the promise. Both the employer should have and the union should have. And unfortunately, the United Federation of Teachers started that pattern in 2014, and then DC 37 did it again in 18. So I think it's education, to be quite honest. Long Beach, can we also hire Jim as our lawyer? No, there would be more conflicts there, but Jake Gardner is from that firm. So Jim is the founding partner of Walden, Mockton, Howard, and Williams, but Jake is our attorney, okay? And so Steve, by the way. Let's see what we have. You're welcome. Oh, did I not drop it in the link? I'll drop it again if it didn't make it. Hold on a second. You'll notice that the link still for right now does say UFT COPE for New York City retirees, but that should probably change. I'm trying to get that changed, but it is definitely not a UFT COPE. You guys, we had so many of you message us over the weekend when this happened, as you were disgusted with what UFT was doing to you. So we decided to very quickly put this in, but rather than making it generic, we didn't think it would be such a hit, but it was. So then after we set it up, now we needed to kind of change it, but it's okay. I didn't join the UFT retirees chapter when I retired. Do you think it's better not to retire or join and vote against them? So you are retired. Do you think it's better not to? Oh, I don't understand your question. Do you think it's not better to retire or join and vote against them? So the only power that you would have if you wanted to help vote the people that are out, you'd have to, the officers, or take vote in an RTC election, is you would have to be a member. So if you think that that's important to you, then you should join. If you don't, and you don't think it's worth it, then don't. But as a retiree, retirees are not in unions. You can join a retiree association, and there are many union organizations that have retiree chapters. It's not just UFT and DC 37. PSC has a retiree group. Sanitation has a retiree group. Transit has a retiree group. The NYPD and FDNYs all have retiree groups. And some of them are mostly just, and most of them don't vote in their union elections. They're just a camaraderie group. It's just a solidarity group of people retired from the same title. So that's strictly personal. Oh, I meant not to join. I think I just answered that. Jim is right about the union taking our dues and then doing what they are attempting to. Oh, yes. In the situation in which it was a retiree dues, yes. Both DC 37 and the UFT, yes, correct. Janice, I wasn't asking him to drop out. I wanted to know in which direction he will lean in his position represented by another candidate. Oh, so I still think it's too soon. Why would he express voting for another candidate when he's still primary focus is getting himself elected? And that's for any candidate, by the way. I still think it's too early for that question. Could you add a link to the retirees' COPE donation form on the Retired Labor Strong page on the political action page? William, sure, I could do that. I can definitely do that. And Dan, can you send a check to the same address that you send your regular donation check to for legal fund? Yes, just make sure in the memo that you put it for political action in the memo of the check, and I'll let the bookkeeper know to look at some of that. Just know that might not always, there could possibly be some errors on that if you're mailing a check, but let me ask him how he wants to handle that. I might need to have those sent to a separate PO box. So I will get back to you on that, Dan. I would prefer to try to not mix them together. And I did want to share with you one more thing due to you guys asking. Last week, you wanted us to put a login on our main page, and we did. So now when you go to our main page, you can see it says become a member, subscribe, donate now, and member portal. So now you have everything right at your fingertips when you go to nycretirees.org, just like you guys wanted. So we're getting it done. It's just taking us a little time. This is a lot, and our IT people, our IT team had to help us do this because I could not do that. I do a lot with the website, but I just can't. There's just some stuff I can't do. So I think that's about it. I saw another retiree org held a rally. So that was on the New York Health Act, and that was on Medicare's birthday. Medicare turned 60 on July 30th. And it was primarily organizations requesting the governor pass the New York Health Act. You say, I'm assuming that would be good for us too if passed. So the New York Health Act would help anyone that lives in the state of New York. If you are outside the state of New York, that would not help you. You would end up staying on the employer plan because right now there isn't an accommodation on the New York Health Act on how to administer that plan if you do not live in the state. So that is an issue. And the bill does describe that they are hoping to put together a committee if the bill passes and would try to find a solution to that problem in 18 months. But my concern to that was there's 1.2 million people in the New York Health Program. And if you take 1 million people out and put them in the New York Health Act and only leave 250,000 people that are typically retirees that live outside New York, and you leave them in the employer plan, they're typically going to be older people and a higher risk. And by doing that, it would definitely create 250,000 people that are older and higher risk that could potentially cause the premium to senior care to increase. So that became a concern for us. And the sponsors of the New York Health Act don't have a solution to that right now. So I don't know what to tell you. That's why we haven't come out in full support of this, because there's still some gaps in how this would work. Could New York State retirees issue be good leverage for a mayoral candidate? Yes, it could. and it would require that you all become a little more politically active. When I put out a call to do campaign calling, I need a lot of people to sign up. When I put out a call to go to events, political events, I need people to show up. So when we don't have that, then you're not using the weight of your organization. I can ask, but if you don't participate, there is no power there. Follow me? And any more on naming our political donation name? Yes, we did win. It was the Retirees, NYC Retirees Strong. It was Matt Weber's suggestion that won. And that was what was on our website. Please put the link for political donations to that page in the chat. I believe I did. Let me do it again. Could Andrew and Curtis broadcast the New York City retirees issue? They can. If you speak to them, they should be talking about it. That's how you know that they support it. If you see them or you're at one of their events, you should be asking about it, and you should be making sure that it's on their website. They should be able to talk about it as a platform position. And if not, ask them to. That would be the best thing to do. Thank you, Marion. I was the one requesting that. I don't remember what you were requesting. Roberta, thank you for the login. You're welcome. Okay, let's see. I know we have different links for either legal or political donations. Can NYCOPSR's dashboard be made to identify our different donations? Meaning reflect our recurring legal. It should. If you go to you have to log into your portal. If you go into your portal, you go into donations. If you're making, let's say, a recurring donation or a donation, it'll tell you which campaign you're donating to. So this is why we've been encouraging you guys to make your own login in the portal, because then you can see your donations and see what's recurring, see what date they come out on, what credit card you're using or method of payment, how much, and the date. So all of these things you can now see. You should be able to see both of those, whether it's a recurring organizational donation to fight to pay for support our organization and our legal battle, or the political action campaign. You would see them because they're two different links in your portal. So if you have trouble with that, just reach out to us at the organization retirees@nycretirees.org, and we'd be glad to help you with that. But you should have all of that at your fingertips. And another reason why we want you to create an account is because every time you make a donation on our website, you have to enter in all of your information every single time. And when you do that, you're creating another account that we then have to go in and manually merge. So if you make 5 donations, you have 5 accounts. You just don't have a login to any one of them. And so sometimes you'll call us and say, hey, there's a problem with this, and we'll look at it and we're not seeing it. Then we have to search for duplicate accounts and we see you have 5. So then we have to take all of them, merge them together, and then try to find your solution. But if you created a login, a username and a password, you would only enter that information. And when you did and you went to make a donation, all of your information is there. You're just entering login, password, and then it brings up your name, address, phone number, email, everything. And you don't have to keep entering that. So it makes it easy for you, and it makes it easy for us not to have to keep merging a million of duplicate accounts for all of you that make multiple donations and monthly ones. So we would appreciate that too, because me, Bob, and Jim are working our tails off with our bookkeeper to dive into doing that. Okay, let's see. John, will you be on WBAI on Monday? And do you meet lots of lefties there? Very funny. I actually broadcast from my home, like I am right now. I don't really know too many people there, and my Monday will be at 5 p.m. So we do have a Medicare expert that will be joining us on Monday at 5 p.m. So we are scheduled to go Monday at 5 p.m. live on WBAI. So if you can't make it, you can always download the archive or go listen in the archive. And of course, myself or Michael will post it on our page. But the plan is, yes, Monday at 5 p.m. And our new show will be called, and it's our show now, will be called the Labor and Healthcare Confidential. So stay tuned for that, because we're going to start to talk about healthcare locally, healthcare nationally. We'll talk to Joe Maniscalco about some of the articles that he writes about labor. We'll be talking to union presidents, and there's some union presidents that will be joining us in the next few weeks that we're super excited to have you hear about some of the things that are happening with them in the world of healthcare. So I'm excited to share those with you. So we have already about 6 weeks worth of shows booked with some special guests for you to hear. So I'm really excited about doing that. I will talk to my assemblyman to reintroduce the bill. So I will tell you, just make sure whatever assembly person or senator that you have, that they have to be Democratic, because the last time we tried to do a bipartisan bill and we used, we had a Republican senator, the Democrats didn't want to sign on to the bill. Even though we called it a bipartisan bill, they didn't want to sign on to it because a Republican had sponsored it. So just make sure, and we're having some issues with that now. But that's a whole nother show, because I'll be here for another hour if I had to discuss that. Laura, thank you, Mary. I need to check the dashboard. Yep. I'm so excited about your new WBAI show. Very wonderful. Yay, hooray, I know. Can I get WBAI in Florida? Yes, you can, Patty, WBAI.org. You can literally live stream it at 5 p.m. on Monday. And if you miss it, you can go to the archives of WBAI and you can listen to the archive of the show. But I think you're on YouTube, so I may be able to download the podcast and put it on YouTube if you're not on our Facebook. So I will look to do that as well. Sandy, thanks, Mary, and your knowledge, determination, dedication are awesome. I love you. I love you too, Sandy. I love you guys. Hey, Jean, good to see you. So I think that's it. It's just an hour and a half, and I really had one hell of a week, so I would really like to rest. I am attending an event tomorrow with Grace Mang, so I'm going to call it an evening. John, because if you go far enough left, you run into those coming right. I like that we're bipartisan. Well, yes, and I say that all the time, but I choose, as many people don't, but I choose to respect all of you and all of your opinions, whether you're left, right, or in the middle. And too often union leaderships don't do that. I believe that you all have an opinion and you're entitled to it. And I'm not going to convince, and we've said this from the beginning, I will probably never convince a Democrat to vote for a Republican or a Republican to vote for a Democrat. And unless there's crazy times and some things are unusual, would you vote for somebody of the other side? And I will tell you, 4 Republicans, retirees, called me after the mayoral election that they were willing to vote for a moderate Democrat over a Curtis Lewa. And I was shocked to hear that. So it was just 4, but they were freaked out enough about the Democratic primary results. So I choose not to tell you who to vote for. I choose to educate you on each and every one of the candidates. And then it is up to you hopefully they will come on our show like Jim did today and answer your questions in real time, because that's where the transparency is. If the candidate won't come on our channel and won't answer your questions in real time, then they're avoiding you for a reason, because they don't want to answer the hard questions. Jim can see the questions, and so can I. And so he knows the questions that are in the chat. Now, I will tell you, though, sometimes, because I am literally live streaming through 5 different platforms, that those questions sometimes move at a pretty good clip. And so if you're concentrating on looking, you're not seeing the questions come in on the sidebar. And so while he's talking, I go into the chat and I try to quickly star the ones I want to come back to. But still, sometimes they move too quick. And so don't think that we're ignoring you or avoiding you. You clearly see we're answering questions, and the comments or the support I'm literally posting while he's talking. So you have to ask yourself, if a candidate's refusing to speak with you, why won't they come on and do this? This is how you know who they are and where they stand. They can't hide from you. If they're not wanting to speak to me or you, because here they're speaking to us and they're answering your questions. So I have a great set of boxing gloves. Good for you. Jim is too ethical to be a New York City mayor, but maybe that's what we need. Is there any way you can show a date of the show somewhere while broadcasting? Sometimes it's hard to distinguish the current show. Do you mean, David, do you mean this? Because in the description, this should come up. Like if you look at the top, this literally says Friday Night Live updates August 1st. So I try to put the date in the description every time I do this, so you do know. And it should come up that way, because that's what I have to enter into all of these platforms. You're in Facebook, so it should actually have come up that way. So, yep, that's what I'm seeing. Am on my portal sign in. I see no way to donate to our political action fund on there. No, so Faye, you need to click the link that I'm putting in the chat. It's not going to come up in your portal. You would click the link once you've made the donation. It'll show up that you've made it in the portal. I will find a way to put it on the website. Is if you want to donate to our operating fund here, if you want to donate especially for political action, click here. Give me some time to put all of that on there, but we're getting there. Okay, hold on. Justin. About Justin not getting back to us last week. At least he's never ghosted us and bitten a cop. I want to tell you, Justin's been texting me while we were on with Jim. So Justin said, so there was a couple of questions. Will he come back on? He said yes. The other question was, does Kayla support the retirees bill? He said yes. I said, okay. And I wasn't sure what he was answering. So I said, she supports us and he'll come on? And he said, sure. And I said, okay, they'll be happy. Pick a Friday. Yes, we will. Promise. I'm not going anywhere. You should have Kayla on, he said. And I said, let's do it. So he's going to work with me on setting that up. Okay. So I promised next week I will call him. We will set up Kayla to come on. We will set up him to come on, maybe him and Kayla to come on. So hopefully you've got your answer. You've got your answer there. Ellen, thank you for making me laugh. That's just priceless. That is priceless. Oh my goodness. We've been through it, right? Like oh my God, we've been through it. No one would believe this. They just wouldn't believe it. I'm going to send him that message. That's hysterical. Okay. We could do a flash mob in Times Square. Now that would be pretty fun. We can put that on the to-do list, I guess. Didn't Kayla work for Justin? I think she's his chief of staff. And that's usually what happens when the outgoing term limited council person leaves. It's usually their chief of staff or ledge director or someone in their office that, that runs. And our anniversary is coming up in 2 weeks. Are we going to celebrate or more? And for me, celebrate the friends I've met along the way, but more in the reason why. That's a good question. I don't know. We should be celebrating that we're together. Remember, like, we are the family. I think we are the family, right? Like we've developed a family, a friend family, because look, we've been together a really long time, all fighting something together. And we've been quite successful. And look, even the unions don't like that we're politically active, right? So I think that's cause for celebration. I think we should all create a ledger for 2025 with what Medicare pays, what Emblem pays, and our $15 copay. I'm telling you, this copay crap is just so frustrating me, where our lawyers are still talking to their lawyers. And it's just ongoing, and we're not happy. So it's just a fight. It's going to be a fight. I can't tell you where this is going to end or where it's going to go, but we're trying. It took me a while to verify the date. YouTube has worked for me on these Fridays. So, John, on social media, I usually post both links. Every Friday, I will post. Look on our page, because I don't post it on TW Local 100's TW 100R's page. I post it on my personal page, and I post it on the org's page, PTPM's page, Pissed Off Teachers, and I think there's one more. So look on my personal page or the organization's page. You will find the YouTube link and the Facebook link. You have the choice of where you want to watch it. And I will post those every Friday. Sandy, my mother always said, if a man is proud of what he does, he doesn't mind if the whole world knows about it. Patty, if you go into Emblem, there's a summary of your visit. Yes, and get into the habit of downloading your information, because they only stay on the Emblem website for like 2 years. I got a copay bill for $15.42. So Sandy, please look and make sure that 42 cents wasn't part of a deductible that you didn't meet. Please first get into a habit of looking at your Medicare EOB and then your Emblem EOB. If they're charging you 42 cents and you've met your deductible, I want both EOBs, Medicare and Emblem, sent to the organization, please, with a little paragraph telling me that and your contact info. And we will give that to the attorneys. Let's contact the new Pope. So, Kathy, thank you for everything and the link you posted. I did it while watching you and I got it done. Thank you, Kathy. So I'm going to call it a night. Oh, Emblem sent you a check. So, Sandy, I'm confused. One post says you got a copay bill for $15.42, and the other says Emblem sent you a check. So if you guys are getting small checks in the mail from the insurance company, it might be because you might be considered a low-income subsidy person. So Emblem would be reimbursing you some of that. If you're not sure, let me know. But the only people I know are getting checks are getting some reimbursement because of the Medicare low-income subsidy. Okay. So you can check that on that, and you would know if you're a lower income retiree. Long Beach, I paid $15 and my doctor's billing office wanted to give me a refund of $2.18 because the EOB said I owed $12.82. Yes, actually, can you do me a favor, please, and send me that in an email and send me the EOB? And yes, you should take the $2.18 from your doctor, or have them apply it as a credit on your account. And they should not be They should not be charged. I would say take the cash back, because if you don't, they're just going to charge you $15 the next visit. But I need you to put that in writing to me. Okay. I'm going to call it a night. We're almost 2 hours. So I'm going to tell you guys, have a great weekend, get some rest. For those of you joining me tomorrow at Grace Meng's, I will see you there. And then I will see you guys Monday night, 5 p.m. On WBAI and on the radio. If I'm able to figure out a way to live stream the video, I will, if my guest agrees to live stream. If not, maybe you might just see me, and then see me and Joe later. So stay tuned. And then also Work Bites. Joe Maniscalco from Work Bites is now, as an independent journalist, trying to fund his paper, Work Bites, and he set up a subscription. So if you guys were interested in doing that, I think he was looking at $2 and change a month for a subscription for Work Bites. So it's like being, I guess, a Work Bite buddy or something. Anyway, we'll put that information on the newsletter as well. I'll get you the information that Jim was giving you as to the reporters he'd like you to tag on social media. If I can find their handles on like Facebook and YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, I will put them in there. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Stay dry. And I will see you Monday. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by.